Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely foundational in tech, REST APIs. We're going to completely demystify this whole architecture. We'll start with a super simple restaurant analogy and literally scale it all the way up to advanced mastery. No jargon, just the good stuff. Let's jump right in. So, here's our menu for today. We're going to kick things off with that restaurant analogy, then break down the 4 core actions. After that, we'll learn how to speak the API language, check out some real-world API examples, and finally, we'll map out your path to mastery.
All right, Section 1, the restaurant analogy. Time to serve up the basics.
Think about it. When you order food, you don't just march into the kitchen and grab the ingredients yourself, right? You use a system. Well, the internet uses that exact same system. Now, REST, which stands for Representative State Transfer, kind of a mouthful, I know, is simply the standard for how we move data around. In practical terms, it just means we use URLs to pinpoint resources, HTTP methods to actually take action, and we swap data back and forth using JSON. It's actually a perfect one-to-one mapping. You, sitting at the table as the customer, are the client. Think of that like a mobile app on your phone. The kitchen in the back, holding all those raw ingredients, that's your database or server. But to get your order to the kitchen, you need a waiter. And that waiter is your API. It literally takes your request, runs it to the kitchen, and brings your freshly prepared response right back to your table.
Moving on to Section 2, the 4 core actions. Let's navigate this menu.
So how do we actually talk to our digital waiter? We command it using exactly 4 main actions. When you send a GET request, your mindset should just be, give me information. Post, that means create something new. Put is your go-to tool to modify existing data. And delete, well, that's exactly what it sounds like. Remove this item. These 4 actions, they literally form the absolute bedrock of REST.
Let's actually see this in action. Say we send a GET request to the path /users/5. What we're doing here is asking our waiter to grab the details for user number 5. The waiter runs back, queries the kitchen database, and brings back exactly what we ordered, an ID of 5 and the name John.
Now, what about a post request? Remember, this is where we create something entirely new. Let's say you're building a to-do list app and you want to add a brand new task. You'd send a post request to /tasks and attach a little payload that specifies the title, something like build to-do app. The API takes this order and boom, a brand new task is instantly generated in your database.
Okay, Section 3, speaking the API language. Let's decode the ticket.
So, the actual universal language scribbled on that waiter's ticket, it's called JSON. It's the standard format that most REST APIs use to hand data back to you. It neatly packages everything into simple key-value pairs. For example, pairing name with laptop or price with $9.99. This right here is exactly how JavaScript, mobile apps, and backend servers all flawlessly understand each other without any confusion.
Which brings us to Section 4, real-world API examples. Let's look at the actual kitchen flow.
All right, here is the complete life cycle of a data request, from start to finish. Step 1, your app kicks things off. Step 2, it fires a GET request straight to the REST API. Step 3, the API turns around and queries the database. Step 4, it grabs and processes that raw data. And finally, Step 5, it carries a beautifully formatted JSON response right back to your screen. It's a complete round trip, and the crazy part, this all happens in literal milliseconds. To really ground this, let's look at a library management API. When we send a GET command to the /books endpoint, we're officially submitting our order. The API makes its lightning-fast round trip and brings back a JSON response. In this case, a clean list of books, serving up the title Atomic Habits, sitting right there at ID number 1.
And finally, Section 5, your path to mastery. Time to go from placing orders to becoming the chef.
If you want to pivot from being a passive customer to an active coding chef, you've got to follow this 5-step blueprint. 1. Master your HTTP URLs and those status codes, like the classic 404 or 200. 2. Get really comfortable parsing JSON. 3. Actually start building basic CRUD APIs, that's create, read, update, and delete. 4. Hook it up to a real database, maybe MySQL or MongoDB. And step 5. You got to learn authentication using JWT to lock down and secure your data. To actually execute that blueprint, you'll want to follow this specific progression of beginner projects. Start super simple, like with a Notes or a To-Do API. Once you nail that, scale up to a student management system or a library API where you can learn search filtering.
After that, tackle an authentication API for security, and then cap the whole thing off by building a complex e-commerce backend. I promise you, completing these 6 specific projects essentially secures your grasp on like 80 to 90% of real-world REST API concepts.
So, we've walked through the menu, the core actions, the JSON language, and laid out the exact roadmap to mastery. The blueprint is quite literally in your hands. But here's the real question to leave you with. Now that you actually know how the kitchen operates behind the scenes, what real-world problem are you going to solve with your very first API? Think about it. Grab your tools, fire off that first GET request, and happy building.